time, but I was late for a chat.
You were early, Gav. You were early. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Handicap Thursday night, 9 o'clock. A very strange show tonight. Strange in the sense that you could almost call this a build-up to the first Six Nations match, which is off at 10:10, so just over an hour South African time now. And that is, of course, France against Ireland. We're going to be talking about that game a little bit later. We're also hoping to be joined in the studio by the Mossman, who's going to make a long-awaited return to the show. I want to touch on a bit of Super Rugby with him. And in the meantime, though, let's welcome the Oracle. Oracle, Gavin Cohen, good to have you on the show again, mate. Of course, you were on last week, but how was the week treating you? It wasn't your best effort betting-wise last week.
No, got all three. I had three bets, got them all wrong. I backed the Stormers to beat the Sharks, backed the Lions to beat the Bulls. And then I backed South Africa in that third match. I didn't have a bet before the game, so I didn't take any 3 or 4 to 10 or anything like that. But I had a proper, I had a decent bet at around about 15 to 10 in that South Africa game against the West Indies when de Kock was still at the crease. And as you know, they didn't win the game. But I've done very well with the cricket and done okay with the rugby. But quite surprised that the Sharks won both games. I'm not ready to call their change room fixed. I think maybe the Stormers were a bit arrogant. I don't know. And I don't know what happened with the Lions. Like, I'm really puzzled. That was a massacre. Jeez, that was ridiculous, actually. It wasn't even, like, you can't even say they had a chance in hell. They had no chance. They were Bulls. Everything worked for them. Again, I'm not ready to call the Bulls fixed yet either. So, I have to tread carefully when they come back in the next couple of weeks. But, looking forward to some Six Nations. Hello, Mossman.
Looking forward to it as well. But certainly, I'll bring Mossman in now. I just want to welcome some.
You went dead. What happened? No, Mossman's moving. Brent's not.
And sorry, man, did my Wi-Fi cut out there, guys?
You need to upgrade, Brent. This is a professional show. Come on.
Hey, yeah. Well, let's welcome the Mossman so you guys can do the talking in case it's my Wi-Fi played up. But Nathan, great to have you back on the show.
Sounded like a 1996 dial-up failed there.
Oh, can you hear me though, Gavin?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And Mossman, can you hear me? Looks like Mossman can't hear me. I'm just going to send him a quick message. Mossman, say something, see if we can hear you. Let me ask him. Sometimes when people come in, the sound's a bit strange initially. Let's have a look. JP Deploy joining us as well. Sorry. Oh, there we go. We can hear you. Mossman, can you hear us? Let's see. I don't see him there. Mossman, I'm going to take you out. We'll keep you on there for now. Gav, I see you typing feverishly away there. And let's see if we can get him. I want to talk about a super rugby. So, Mossman, say something if you can hear me, please.
He's stuck. He's not moving.
He's not. No, I don't know why we can't hear him. Let me just click on his settings here. See, I haven't accidentally done something. Edit mic settings. No, should be there. So I'm going to take him out. I'm just going to send him a WhatsApp. Gav, we're going to get into the Six Nations now. Have you even had a look at the outright betting or anything like that?
No, and it's been a long time since I had an outright Six Nations bet, although it is in my timeline. Like, when I say timeline, I mean it's a medium distance event. It's 6 weeks in total. There's a week gap, I think, if my memory serves me correct. So it's not a long-term bet, like I suppose it's the same as a World Cup kind of thing.
Yes, similar.
But no, I haven't had a bet, and I also I always say to myself I'm going to have one, and then I get to the start of Six Nations and I look at the fixtures and I go, geez, I don't know if I can predict a winner here, and yeah, long-term bets, medium-term bets, don't really have them. Very, very few and far between. So no,
Last
I
one,
haven't
can
even
you-
seen the handicap. Sorry, Brent, to answer your question. I just had a look at the handicap now for tonight's game at -14. And first thing I did was, sit back and go, whoa, okay, that's a little interesting. And then I sent a guy that I used to work with that's over there, and I just asked him, why are Ireland +14? Like, what's going on? Anyway.
But we'll talk about. I want to talk last about the Ireland game because it's taking place afterwards,
Yeah.
so we could sort of lead into that. But I think, Mossman, did I get a thumbs up from you that you can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Brilliant. It's for some strange reason, sometimes when people first come in, and it happens to me sometimes as well, you can't hear, then you go out and come back in and everything's okay. So let me welcome you again. So this time you can actually hear me welcoming you. Great to have you back on the show. How are things there in New Zealand?
Yeah, things are great. I mean, it's summertime, just kind of easing into the year, really, from a work perspective. And been on holiday for a good chunk of it. So yeah, can't complain.
And betting wise, are you easing into the year, or you been getting involved in the URC and Champions Cup?
Not really. No. I think what I've noticed in the last couple of years is that I think these times of year are tricky, depending on what kind of bettor you are. I think if you're jumping on team news 5 seconds after it comes out, that's fine. But I think there's quite big motivational questions around a lot of teams at this time of year. Like some of them just they just take the day off in certain games, which makes things challenging. So yeah, I tend to focus elsewhere.
Yeah, it certainly has been. I'm not saying there's not opportunity to make money if you're on your game, but some really unpredictable results over the last few weeks. And fortunately, I had a good weekend last weekend, pulled me back into the match. We got Licky Snyman joining us. I'll always remind myself, first game there will be sloppy play unders for me. So are you talking about unders in the France game? That's exactly what I'm on as well. I took under 50.5. I see the line has moved a bit, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Mossman, I want to actually just start with you quickly. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but I just want to run through some Super Rugby with you because, of course, that gets going next week. We've got that, and I'm sure that is one of the tournaments you're really gearing up for. What are your sort of thoughts? Have you got anything for us? Because I've seen absolutely nothing betting-wise. Chiefs and Crusaders disputing favoritism, but any thoughts on any of the teams that you might think things you're going to be looking out for in the season?
I mean, I think there's always storylines during the season. So I think there's kind of an ongoing kind of storyline about whether the drill will eventually figure out how to play away from home. I think their home and away record is obviously well documented. They're a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. So whether they make any progress in that area, but there's always lots of storylines. Like I'm interested in seeing how the Reds go. With Vern Cotter jumping ship, turning up there next year. In the back of my mind, I kind of imagined that he's seen something he likes about what they're doing there, to make that move. So potentially there must be some kind of good things going on behind the scenes. I think maybe at the Reds, Highlanders. I mean, this is the potential for them to be losing their coach at some point, and what that means for them. So there's always storylines, but in terms of actual betting, I did go through. I had a moment where I sort of looked at it and I thought, like I could run some sort of Monte Carlo kind of sim and try and figure out if some of these are mispriced and maybe. And then I thought, well, why am I wasting my time on this? Because I'm not going to see that money for 3 months or whatever it is.
Yes.
Like, it's just not a good use of bankroll, in my opinion, because you're going to end up with a bet that's probably a similar sort of size to what I'd put on a weekly basis. It's just a bad deployment of capital, I think, is the short answer.
Unless you really fancy a 50-1 shot, which maybe should be 20-1. I mean, because then you don't have to put the big capital down. But totally agree with you. I mean, I used to love my long terms. I used to bet World Cups 2 years before the time, but wasn't the best use of capital, but it was great fun. But then when capital got a bit tight, it was like that doesn't make any sense anymore. Rather, as you say, bet weekend to weekend. So let me ask you though, before I bring the Oracle in and we get on to the Six Nations. I mean, Chiefs, Crusaders, they're betting at not quite a 2-horse race, but very firm favourites. Have you got any team lower down that you think might just be a little bit of a surprise this season? Not that I'm expecting you to back it, but just, they could be right there come playoff time and have a chance of winning the tournament.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the Reds. I'll probably say them again. And I think a lot of it would come down to, you need to look at the fixtures because they're not evenly distributed. So not all teams play all teams. So Reds would have an advantage. They'd probably play more Australian teams, obviously, than New Zealand teams. If the fixtures fall correctly, and they can get maybe a home playoff game, then I think that would be a huge advantage for them. So, I think if you're going to do this well, and I know the guys that do this, like in the Premier League, is that you're actually just constantly trading positions, like as in, you take positions early in the season and then you sort of on various different teams and you trade in and out of those positions and you build up this portfolio over the year. I think that's the people that do it well. That's what they do. But yeah, as I said, that's just not a good use of my time.
Well, I can tell you, a man who built up a golf portfolio once and got me to invest in it. It was a long-term strategy. I'm not going to tell that story again because I've told it many times. It was the Oracle himself. Let's just say you don't oppose Tiger Woods at the NEC Invitational or whatever we did that week. But Gav, let's any questions you've got for the Mossman before we get stuck into some Super Rugby?
Yeah, so the first question I got is, when you pulled up the outright betting for the Super Rugby, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the first 5 in the betting were all New Zealand teams. Are you guys getting bored of that? Or is that just, yes, the Australians are here to play and the Fijian team and the Samoan team? Like, that must be very frustrating as a New Zealander, as a Kiwi, to see just, they have no chance. Well, public opinion says they have no chance.
It's more frustrating for Australia.
Yeah, no, I know that. But it's like you're going to play a game. And, I mean, Brent, you and I watched my kid play that game at St. Stithians, and it was 50-0. And they were talking about switching the game off, and they allowed it to carry on. It went up to 89-0 or whatever it was. But, do these people just get demotivated when they see that kind of thing? I don't know. I know we're not playing, obviously, but...
Well, let Mossman answer that.
What is the man in the streets of New Zealand about that?
I think it's actually the trend is actually improving as far as that goes. So if you went back to sort of when they had the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman, and I think at one point, and I'm just throwing random numbers out here, but New Zealand teams might have won sort of 50 games in a row against Australian teams, or some ridiculous number. I'm probably wrong with that number, but I know
right. I remember that.
It was just some crazy one-sided number, and that number has, season by season, has gradually kind of transitioned, and now you get teams, like the Brumbies that are sort of genuinely competitive with New Zealand teams. They're always there or thereabout. Whether they can win it or not, that's a different question. But I think dropping what the extra Australian team has helped, like in terms of making the squads more competitive. So yeah, I mean, look, it's never ideal when you have competitions that are kind of, I guess, lopsided in terms of who could win it. But let's face it, like, you could point that finger at a number of different competitions. Whether it's the Premier League or URC or whatever. I mean, there's lots of teams that every year people will throw the names out, but it's the same old names in the hat and in the ring at the end. And the only sports where you don't, well, I was going to say, like, I guess the NFL is a bit of an outlier this year. We probably you've got a Super Bowl between two teams that probably no one would have predicted. But that's, they've got salary cap reasons for why that happens, and yeah, we don't have that in rugby generally.
It looks like Brent's frozen. I've got one more question then. So out of those teams out of the 5 New Zealand teams, which one do you think is the best priced from a value perspective? Not necessarily who's going to win, but where do you see the value in the 5 New Zealand teams?
Yep. I'd say probably the Hurricanes. I have a feeling, and maybe I said that last year as well. But doesn't matter. I think that there's not much between probably those first 3 teams, and so yeah, if there's not much between them, then obviously the one with the biggest price is the one that sort of stands out.
Right, gents, I think I'm back for a while, so let's get the Six Nations chat started. Like I said, I want to end with tonight's game. So, Gav, I'm going to bring you in first. The first game is Italy up against Scotland. And here we got a handicap, Italy plus 8.5 and a points line of 46.5. Oracle, are you going to tell us they got the wrong favourite here?
Yes, I like Italy. Yeah, I think they'll win the game, and I was expecting this to be a lot closer. I was expecting this to be 2 or 3, maybe, or 1. Excuse me. If you told me this was going to be over 5, I would have laughed at you. It's not a 5-star bet. It's not a granny pension withdrawal bet. But Italy look very, very big for being at home in the first game. I like Italy. Yeah. I think they win the game. I'll have a little bit on the plus, but I'm going for them on the board. There's no ways I'd touch Scotland at -8 in Italy. I just can't. I'd never do that. I think, in fact, Brent, before you start speaking again, which you're about to, in living memory, in recent memory, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years, I don't think Scotland have ever started at -8. I've seen the odd -5 and -4, but this is a big minus. This is massive, actually, in the context of these two opponents. And I saw the comment with what he said, but I don't buy that. This price is too big to ignore. I'm definitely on the Artars, and I'll go for the board. I'll take the price. And at +8, I'm probably getting close to 3 to 1, if not better.
Yeah, you can pretty much get 3 to 1. Yeah, I see at Bet Exchange it's just a touch under 3 to 1. I'm going to bring Mossman in now. Johan Esther is saying Italy over 17.5 points, and I like that a lot. In fact, I was looking at the overall overs line here, Johan. But let's bring Mossman in. Yeah, Mossman, what do you think of this? I sense I haven't followed the markets closely, and I know these Six Nations markets come up early, so they find their sort of range quite early as well. But I think I saw some sort of 9.5 early in the week. So I get the sense that the money is what money there is out there is potentially coming for Italy.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that, because I just purely from an ecosystem perspective, one of the things that's great about Six Nations is that it's the lines are up early. The liquidity is quite big early as well, and things are quite stable. So it suits that kind of style, I guess, where you're not just chasing ambulances 5 minutes after team lineups are announced. It's pretty stable, and in terms of that liquidity, like there was Six Nations lines up 8 days. Well, actually in New Zealand, like at the TAB, they've been up for a month, maybe longer. They were up over Christmas, and I know that like earlier this week, so 8 days before kickoff, you could get a bet size down on Six Nations game that was as large as you could on URC if you wanted to bet 6 hours before kickoff. Like it's just the amount of money in Six Nations is so much bigger than so the other Northern Hemisphere leagues. So which is great, because if you want a decent bet early in the week, you can kind of do it. So that's really good. And then in terms of this game, like where things have gone. So there was sort of around 9.5 yesterday. I think you could probably still get 9.5, and I agree with Oracle. I think Italy is a good bet here. I think when they kind of looked at the fixture list, they probably circled this one, and they'll definitely be going into it thinking this is a game they can win. It's not perhaps like in years past where it's kind of like, can they keep it close? Can they, not get a hiding? They will genuinely think they can win this. They'll go into this with, some expectations of coming away with a win. So I think it'll be the weather is not good. I think that's what I'm seeing in the forecast. So that if it turns into a bit of a dogfight, then I think that probably suits Italy a bit as well. Similar than it did in that game against South Africa, where it was a really scrappy game, and they kind of stayed in the fight there just by kicking a lot of penalties. I think the Australian game was a little bit similar as well. Maybe played under not ideal conditions.
That's right, Mossman. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Yeah, we mustn't forget this team beats Australia.
Sorry, again.
Yep, that was the last time I bet Italy was in that game. So I've still got good memories of that one. And just in terms of team selection, so there's Scotland. I had a quick glance at it, and I think they've got Dobie on the wing, and I thought he was a scrum half, so I don't quite know what's going on there. Maybe he's one of these kind of hybrid type players. From memory, no Kinghorn, I think, in this lineup as well, who is one of their better players. So there's just a few bits and pieces, and then just in terms of a kind of a overall market kind of systemic kind of thing is that it's a home underdog, and you can't go too far wrong with home underdogs in general. So yeah, I think a lot of things just pointing towards Italy here.
Right, so I must say, I was also leaning. I do like the Scottish team that they picked, and I've just brought it up now. I like it, but at the same, and I know Italy, it was mentioned in the comments, have got a few injuries. JJ I mentioned that, but also I just fancy this Italian side are going to be really, really hard to beat at home. And I'm also with you guys on the plus, but I'm looking more. I actually like your Huns bet there, the over 17.5 points. Obviously, keep an eye on conditions there. But I'm not too worried as long as it's not really torrential stuff. I wouldn't be too concerned there with the Italy over 17.5 points. Let's stay with the Mossman for the next game. This handicap has also been fairly stable. It's moved around a couple of points either side, I think, of this sort of 28.5 line. But we've got a huge line here for a Six Nations game. England minus 28.5 against Wales. Points 53.5. Yeah, I mean, it's a big line, Nathan, but a brave man comes in and backs the Welsh.
Yeah, I just going back to the previous game, I do think you're setting yourself up for some heartbreak by taking an over in a game like that. It just an over game is not what Italy want. And they want to slow this game down, as you turn it into a rock fight, kick goals, make it ugly. I think you're probably going to have 80 minutes of frustration. I think if you bet it.
But if they're kicking goals, that's not bad when you're on over 17.5 points.
If it's just the 17
what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But it could well be a very frustrating game for the overs backers there on that one. What do you make of this one then, Nathan? This is a big handicap, but of course Wales have really been in the doldrums. But I mean, can they beat this handicap?
Can England beat the handicap? I mean, they can.
Or can Wales, beat the handicap?
There was 30.5 sort of kicking around like a couple of days ago, and it's come in, and I think the reason for that is there's a little bit of kind of reshuffling. I think in the England team, at least, they've kind of left out some guys like Ollie Lawrence in midfield, and yeah, it's possibly and Atoje, I guess, is the other guy, on the bench. It doesn't sort of strike me as their absolute first choice team if everyone was available. Like if this was a World Cup final, I think you'd see a slightly different looking England team. But yes, so it's a big handicap, and I haven't looked at these numbers. This is probably something that the Admiral would be able to pull out, because he's quite good on these trends. But how often teams, well, probably not even teams, but thinking about these home nation games, like where somebody covers a number that big, and my guess is that firstly a number that big is pretty rare, and then covering it is pretty rare as well. So I think I don't think you have to love Wales to like being on the plus here. I just think it's you're kind of relying, if you're backing England here, on all of the things that happened in all of the previous games, or being true, and I just don't think that is. I mean, I think people probably got on their mind that last game against South Africa, but what they're probably forgetting is that what Wales put out kind of like a B team. From memory, they had, how they have these kind of contractual problems where it was outside the.
They were missing players. You're right.
Yeah, and which they were just. I thought it just felt like they were lambs to the slaughter in that game. This is not the same kind of setup, not the same kind of lineup. So, yeah, I really wish I got on the 30.5. I didn't, but I'm still leaning towards Wales here.
Right, and just thinking back to that same year into, I mean, Wales against New Zealand, yes, they were well beaten in the end, but they scored, if I recall, 28 points in that game, and they can show that sort of form against England. It is a big handicap. Let's see what Oracle thinks, though, because Oracle, I don't know, we haven't discussed this game, and I know you even said before the show you haven't seen the handicaps, but I know you don't rate this Wales team. What are you going to do?
No, so Nathan said that it was a B team that played the South Africans. He's right, but the problem is if the A team had showed up, the score would have been worse, because the A team is where the problem is. So whatever it is in the change room, again, this Welsh team has lost 20 of 21 games in a row, 20 of 21, only beating Japan, and they played them 3 times. They beat them once. 28's not enough. Again, I'm not 5-starring this one, but there's no ways I'm touching this Welsh until I can see the change room is fixed. This is a problem. This team, I know they brought in a new coach. He's done nothing for me. I don't know. I'm an English minus punter here, and I'm an English minus punter with confidence. Like, I'm going to put my bet down and I'll feel nothing. Like, I won't have any of that risk factor emotion that I say sometimes, because it is rare, but I'm definitely not having it in this game. I'm putting money on this game and I'm thinking this is easy money. But I do understand that it's a high handicap, and that's what will bring down the 5-4 to a sort of a 2.5, maybe a 3-star bet. I still like Italy on the board at 3-1 better than I like the minus England, but I definitely like minus England. I can't be touching that Wales team. Just can't. Not interested. There's too many problems there. And I agree with you. It's a high handicap. I mean, I've been on high handicaps before. The 28 doesn't feel high. It might feel high because it requires 5 tries. If it was 27, it requires 4 tries. So yes, that 1 point, I'd be a lot more comfortable at minus 27 than I would at 28. But I'm happy at minus 28.
Right, so 2 differing opinions there, which takes us into the third and final game. It's actually the first game of the weekend, and the Crow Tips leads us in nicely there. He says, watching the build-up, very wet in Paris. I did get the under 50.5 fairly early. I see the line has ticked down. It doesn't mean I'm overly confident of hitting the bet. These 2 teams are well capable of scoring points. But let's start with you, Oracle, on this game. You said to me just before we came on air, you were shocked. I think you said it to me off air. I can't remember. It was either that or on air, but you were shocked at the handicap here. And let's face it, if you'd been away for 2 years and you came back now and you hadn't seen that, the teams, Ireland in particular, struggling a little bit, you would be absolutely shocked at this cap of minus 13.5. We've got a points line here of 47.5. That has edged down from an opening quote of 50.5. And Oracle, what do you think as the build up to this game continues?
Well, the first thing that caught my eye, and I said to you 14, 13, 14, same thing. I mean, I would have expected this handicap to be 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 would be a stretch. In fact, 6, I'm asking questions. And if Ireland are favourites, I'm asking questions. So somewhere in that little, just over a French win would be acceptable to me, or it's not acceptable, but I'd understandable. That's the word. So 13, 14. So I reached out to an Irish colleague that I used to work with, and he said to me that there's a couple of players that are missing in the Irish team. It's obviously raining as well, but I'll tell you what else stands out for me here, big time, is the points line. And I'm not a points punter, but I used to be a points market maker, so I'd make the price. 47.5 points in a game where it's raining sounds too high. It's the kind of game that you would start at 39, 40, 41, 42. That's what you'd expect in a Six Nations game. I might be wrong, but that's from memory. That's what it's almost a try too much. And if the Crows are watching the build-up already, I haven't put my TV on. I'm so excited, actually, that I'm getting to watch rugby on Thursday night. I didn't know why. So if anyone knows why, I saw Shane had mentioned that there's no break after 2 games. They're playing 3 straight games, which is unusual.
I didn't know that either.
Used to be 2, 1, 3. So Shane, if you can tell us if you know anything, what happened there.
I think it's got something to do with the opening of the Winter Olympics. That's what someone told me. I don't know if anyone.
That's the reason why they're playing it on a Thursday.
The Thursday. Yeah, that's the reason they're playing tonight on a Thursday.
Because I don't know if you know, Brent, but it's our biggest delegation as South Africans to the Winter Olympics. We're sitting 5 people. No, there's 5.
Got 5. I thought we only had
5 going. It's the biggest delegation in the history of Winter Olympics for South Africa. And somebody said it was on TV.
It sounds like Cool Runnings or something.
Yeah,
Cool Runnings.
No, they're actually doing 5 different things, which is quite interesting. So, they're not even competing with each other. But back to this game. When I see this, I'm thinking the underdog, the plus. But I'm not I'm not sold yet. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in this game is I'm going to watch the first 10 or 15 minutes and I'm going to have a punt. Right now, it looks way too high, this handicap, and the points look way too high. It's screaming back Ireland, go under, but I'm not convinced yet. I don't know. I mean, these two, aren't they joint favourites in this tournament? Like close.
No,
England.
Ireland are like 7-1 third favourites, I think, Mossman.
Yeah.
Yeah. England and France are the favourites. France, obviously, firm favourites.
Yeah, then I'm going to say tentatively, I'm definitely on the Irish. Plus, I say definitely. It's more than likely I'm going to back that. I don't know if I'm going for a France minus. It does seem way too high, especially in the rain. But I am interested in Ireland on the board because here at this number, you're probably looking at 5-1, close to 5-1 to win the game on the board.
Over 5-1.
That interests me.
Yeah,
that interests me. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going France. I mean, I say I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't think I'm going France yet. Just too high. Well, Ireland are better than plus 13. And going back to my comment earlier on the Scotland.
As I said, I like Ireland.
Sorry, this is the biggest minus I think we've ever seen France against Ireland in Six Nations. In my 25 years in the industry, I don't think I ever saw a handicap this big in this fixture.
Yeah, quite possible. There were certainly times when Ireland were in the doldrums, but France were probably not doing that well then as well. There's a market, I don't know which bookies have it, but for the bets that you're talking about there would be like Ireland to beat the handicap and under 47.5 points. Would be the way to go. Mossman, bringing you in there. I also like Ireland a bit on the cap here, but not with any real confidence. As I say, I've got the points bet down, but I get the feeling that Ireland haven't been great, but they're not quite ready to roll over and die yet. What are your views on this one?
Yeah, actually, what you just mentioned there is if I was going to bet this game, the direction I would look would probably be on that, if you have it available, like that SGP, same game parlay, same game multi, whatever they call different things in different parts of the world. Yeah. But I think if Ireland cover, I think this game goes under. Like I think that's the kind of the game script that gets them there. My kind of concern when I look at Ireland is where their points are going to come from. They actually that just doesn't strike me as it's definitely an Ireland team that's like short on cattle for this game. Like, when you look at some of the guys that are missing, and I know they've left James Lowe out deliberately apparently, which I think is an interesting call. Makes you wonder if something's going on behind the scenes, but. Yeah, like I'm sure, in an ideal world that they wouldn't be playing Stockdale, that Robbie Henshaw or someone else would be in there. They've got like cluster injuries in the front row, and where I think they're down to their sort of fourth choice, tight head or loose head. I'm not sure which one it is. It's at prop. It's when you look at the team, it just looks weird. Like they're just names that you're not. You're kind of scanning for the usual suspects in those positions, and none of them are there. I think that could be a potential problem for them. But again, I don't pretend to be a coach and know all the X's and O's, but I know it's just what you can see when you look at it. So there's some kind of warning signs there for Ireland. I also have in the back of my mind that France went to Dublin and did a number on them last year. And obviously then this game is now at home. So my numbers favour Ireland, but I've mentioned this before, is that, I have this kind of table where I can see where I'm wrong the most, and I'm wrong backing Ireland, more than I think just about any other international team, which is telling me I think they're a little bit of a fading force. They've had a bit of a golden era. I think maybe they're coming off the back of that now. So that doesn't get me to backing France, but on the handicap at least. But I do think that France win this game. It's hard to see a scenario where they don't, just with Ireland so underpowered. And actually just thinking about that, I talked earlier about the kind of the changes in the ecosystem, and one of the the things. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like, have you heard of Poly Market, which is a prediction market?
Yes, I
Yes.
don't know much about it, but I gather it's almost like a demand supply prediction thing. I saw it for the US elections.
What's the
Quoted quite a
Betfair
bit.
system, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like it started off doing things like elections and cultural things, and now it's crossed over into sports, and they've just started doing rugby. And so I've been looking at it, and it's so if you fancied Ireland, France, whoever it was, you could go there right now, and drop, take a 20K position on something, just picking up something out of the order book, which is just sitting there. So like it's interesting, like it's in terms of limits and things like that, working around that. At the moment, it's just money lines on rugby games, but I chatted to them in their Discord channel, and they were talking about bringing in handicaps and bringing in points totals. So it's going to be really interesting, because
if you're looking for a job, they'll probably hire you. I think they're running on a very small. Poly is not the one I'm talking about. I'll remember the name, but they've got a very small staff. So yes, it's. I'll stick you a video on YouTube that I watched the other day that detailed quite a bit of that, and they were talking to one of the new entrants in it. But yeah, it looks like there's a few Betfair kind of companies starting in America, or have just started, or have been running for a short period. So quite interesting.
Yeah, they have been kicking around for. So Polymarket's kind of the one that's, I think, European based, or started in Europe and has just gone into America. And whereas Kalshi started in America and has gone the other way. But I think it's kind of like gambling pretending not to be gambling. They call it prediction markets, but it effectively like operates as if it's gambling. But it's controlled by the CFTC, which in the US is commodity and futures trading. So they're trying to pretend that it's like that it's trading, not gambling. And I think Donald Trump Jr. is on the board of at least one of them, maybe both. So you probably
all three.
You've probably got 3 years of more of Trump, where they're going to be safe at least. But they've become so big, I think it's going to be hard to kind of budge them anyway. But so pretty big numbers being traded on there. Like I can sit here now in real time, and like I said, if you wanted to drop 20K on France right now at the current market price, you could go and do that. And then if you wanted another 20K, you could hit that one again. So good luck trying to do that like a normal bookie without attracting attention. This is all US dollar stuff as well. So for me, it's quite a kind of huge addition to the ecosystem to have these sort of options available. So sorry, digressed a little bit, but I think these are probably the things I guess that catch my attention perhaps more than others. So. Yes, anyway, where were we?
Well, I've just sent you a video, a YouTube video. In fact, I can put it in the live chat for the guys. I think I can do that. Yeah, let's just have a quick look. But there was Oracle sent you a video to watch. I think let me put it in the live chat, and if anybody else wants to watch it, it's not a video. I was going to say, Oracle, it's not a video that's going to get me banned, is it?
No. It's a documentary. No, it's very good. I'll put it in.
It's good.
Just put it in.
No, excellent. Well, anyway, guys, we're getting to the end. This is just really the three big games to talk about this weekend. I think we're all going to go get comfortable and watch. I mean, Nathan, let me ask: will you be watching the game this morning? Do you have work to do? Because I guess Friday morning your time.
Yeah, it's actually a public holiday in New Zealand. It's Waitangi Day, so not.
Anzac. What do you know? No, it's not.
No, it's Anzac Day's in April, but it's kind of like New Zealand National Day. So there's the opportunity to watch it. Whether I will get that opportunity or not, sort of depends on what else is going on in the house at the time.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's Johan's weekly treble. He goes Ireland plus 13.5, Italy over 17.5, England, Wales over 53.5. I like that one, Johan. I'm also leaning towards the overs in England, Wales there as well. Anything else to add there, Nathan? Anything else you'd be watching on the weekend? You're a Super Bowl fan. I see that's going to be, South African time early as a Monday morning. You're going to be having a bet on that?
Oh, no, I won't be betting on it. But, I'll definitely be – I probably won't be watching it just because it's on Monday afternoon here. In past years, I would have taken the afternoon off, but I've had quite a bit of time off recently. So I'll just watch it later when I get home.
Excellent. Gav, yourself, I guess the Cricket World Cup starting. There's a lot of one-sided looking matches early in the tournament, I must say, before we hit this, I think the Super 8s or whatever it's called. But anything else stand out for you on the weekend?
No, I'm definitely going to be watching the cricket. My son's playing in the Cape Town 10s tomorrow, and I'm partly sponsored. I'm a minor sponsor, and I'm on the arse on the right hand side. Right hand bum cheek is my logo on their shorts. So I'm going down there tomorrow. I got a couple of customers in the waterfront to go and see, and then I'll go over to the rugby. It's at Hamilton's next to the Cape Town Stadium, and then on Saturday they play as well. So yeah, I'll be watching my kid play some rugby this weekend, which should be interesting. They've got two leagues. It's quite. They've got a professional league, and then they've got a. I don't know what else to call the other one, but it's you enter and you just compete against other people that entered. So it's a participation league or whatever it's called. But yeah, he's in that, and he's done zero practice, like absolutely nothing. And he thought it was started on Saturday. He found out last night that it starts on Friday. So
I can't help but draw a parallel here. We mentioned Trump Jr. and his dad having an influence, and here we got Oracle Jr. and his dad's a sponsor of the team. He's safe. He won't be dropped. Don't worry about that. He's fine. He's fine for this tournament.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, lekker guys. Enjoy. I'm gonna go get settled on the couch. Looking forward to watching some rugby on a Thursday night. And yeah, first of all, to you, Nathan, great to have you back on the show. Look forward to chatting to you over the weeks ahead on Six Nations, but also, of course, on Super Rugby as we sink our teeth into that. And Oracle, good to have you on. And then to the boys who joined us in the live chat and are building up to the big game, enjoy it. Let's hope for a scrappy affair with Ireland pushing them all the way. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.